Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface with AZCHATS number 72. I know, right? I said in the last AZCHATS video this could probably be the last one because AZCHATS videos tend to be Blizzard-centric, tend to be World of Warcraft-centric, and I don't deal with that stuff anymore. But a lot of people are just saying, please keep it going, we like hearing you discuss stuff. So okay, I will keep the AZCHATS brand going, but we're going to be discussing other things, like today's topic of conversation is going to be the Nintendo Switch and the announcement yesterday, of course, and all the gubbins to do with it. Now, because this is an AZCHATS video, it is a more podcasty type of a vid as opposed to a visual vid. It's something for you to listen to and not necessarily watch, which is just as well, because Nintendo do like to copyright strike any bastard that puts any of their products up on YouTube. So I have decided to compose a picture of my own artistic rendition of a Switch. And if you don't like it, tough shit. But this is the perfect chance for you to step away from the keyboard and go crank me up in the background, get off and do something around the house. And because it is an AZCHATS video as well, it may contain fruity language, i.e. language of an adult nature. So if any of that turns you off, just turn me off. Or watch it, downvote it, and then whinge in the comment section down below. And I promise you I'll read it. But seriously. Right, so we're going to discuss yesterday's meeting. The announcement of the Switch, or at least the proper announcement of the Switch, where they're going to go into detail about the product, about the software, the hardware, the functionality of it, and all that kind of stuff. Now, I only saw little bits and bats yesterday because I was streaming for 9 hours, and what I saw, my God, was not impressed with. But I'm a fair guy. So today, I went back and I've watched the whole of the press conference so I can see every little nuance to see if it changes my mind, to see if it, sheds some further light and makes me go, ooh, ah, and all that kind of stuff. Because if anything, I am but fair. So yeah, I'm going to go into all the bits and bats. So first things first, I just want to do some generalizations. This was one of the weirdest presentations I have ever seen in my life. Now, I know people can be awkward when they're up on stage, but holy shit. Virtually everybody that had something to say looked like they would rather be anywhere on the whole freaking planet than at that presentation talking about the Nintendo Switch. It was so bad. The way that people were just coming on. I felt like I was at a wake. Some of the people looked like they had rods shoved up their ass and there were people in the background that were actually moving them around like marionettes. And when I say people, I mean morticians. They were so stiff. It really wasn't a particularly great way to introduce, and it was... Because, look, this is a Nintendo Switch. This is a brand new console coming out that's meant to appeal to kids, to adults, to old folks. You know, whatever Nintendo's trying to do now. Oh, fuck knows what Nintendo are trying to do. But it's trying to appeal to people. And then you've just got the most drab, boring, dreary people come up on stage and try and flog it to you. Just like, holy shit. And the really annoying thing is, right at the end of the presentation, we get a small cameo from Mr. Miyamoto and also from Mr. Aonuma, the producer of the new Zelda game. And also Reggie was there. And they exhibited more personality in 15 seconds and more charisma in the 15 seconds that they were on the screen with their beautiful smiling faces, the enthusiasm in the voice, the way they were holding up the console and pointing to it going, hey, look, Switch, that they were showing it off. I actually thought, oh my God, why weren't these people more prominent in the goddamn event, for goodness sake? Now, I can understand why Mr. Aonuma isn't, because he's just with Zelda. But, Mr. Miyamoto, he's a lovely person. Please, he could have do something. Give him money, make him do stuff. So it was just an awful presentation to watch from an interest point of view. Just found it so boring, so dreary. And I tell you what, if any one of you want to come at me with, oh, but this is how they do things in Japan, fuck off. Right fuck off right now. And the reason why I'm saying fuck off is because you are selling not a product to Japan, you are selling a product to the fucking world. Right? Not one country, to every country. America, Europe. I'm not going to go into continents, I could get caught out here. But you are going to various countries to sell this product. Coming out on stage, looking like you've just come out of a funeral, that your mum's just died, is not the way to flog a product to the rest of the world. It was awful. They could have done so much more just to lighten it up, make it feel as if it was a special occasion, make it feel as if this product was something fresh and exciting and yes, 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 yes. And the way that they tried to convey that was in the video packages that they put up on the screen, as opposed to the personalities which are on the stage. And that failed miserably for me. My God, it was dreary. Okay, so now that I've got that rant out of the way, and I had to get that rant out of the way because, you know, gaming is so important to us. It's a way to escape. It's a way to just forget about the world. It's a way to transcend and take us to places we will never ever go in our lifetimes. Having an old man in a suit come out going, "Nah," like a fucking foghorn is not the way to do it. Now then, they decided also, actually, whoa, I'm going to backtrack once more. This rant is not fucking over. One thing that was missing from this whole presentation, and very conspicuously so, was the fact that they didn't go into any details at all. Not a single solitary one about the hardware, the actual specs of the Nintendo Switch. Not a jot. Didn't go into the Integra chip, didn't go into the resolution, they didn't go into any of that. The only thing that they went into was the battery life. And that was that. And I thought that was so conspicuous. I thought that really shone out, because if you are releasing a brand new console and you don't want to talk about the specs of that console, that ain't good news. Because if you're coming out with a brand new console, and you are so proud of this console and what it can do, look at Sony, look at Microsoft, look when Nvidia release a graphics card and all this kind of stuff. Man, they are screaming and shouting about their specs. This does this, this does this, this has this to do this. You know, it's all penis compensation stuff, and it's wonderful. And I know that the Nintendo Switch is a hybrid console. I know that it's made for multi-functions and isn't just a desktop like a PlayStation 4, like an Xbox One, or like a PC. But in the same instance, you can't even compare it to the goddamn Nvidia Shield, for Christ's sake. Now, it looks like it's got a souped-up version of the Integra chip from that, and allegedly, and I've got to say allegedly because we don't goddamn know really, allegedly it is going to run a lot quicker, or it's going to run better than the Shield, but yeah, when you don't talk about specs, it really kind of asks a lot more questions than gives answers, to be perfectly honest with you. So they should have mentioned specs. They should have gone into that, because I also believe that the screen resolution is only 720. It's not 1080, it's 720. And yeah, it just, you know, it just feels as if Nintendo have a foot in the past as opposed to a foot in the present. Yes, I know they're innovators. Yes, I know that they have, you know, brought to us things which have been built on, architectures which have been built on, but they themselves seem to have the idea and other people seem to really go with it. They themselves don't. They get very kind of like stagnate. And one thing that I really wasn't too keen on hearing is when they were trying to sell the Switch as a product, they said it sort of had the DNA of every Nintendo console from the past. And that, to me, spoke volumes. It kind of spoke to me as if you were saying, right, well, yes, we are stuck in the past. And that's how I've felt Nintendo is. This is how I've felt Nintendo's been for 2 decades now, stuck in the past. You know, when the Wii came out, I am still unsure whether or not they realised what they had with the Wii. You know, the way that it actually appealed to all generations, to the old as well as the young. And I'm talking the old. My mum's in her 70s. My mum bought a Wii. She don't want a Wii U. She's not interested in a Wii U. She's not interested in a Switch. She just wanted a Wii. So I don't know if they quite knew what they got with the Wii, but that was sort of like the lightning that struck, and everything else was kind of like the lightning rod that dampened all the electricity. So, going into that, let's move on to some of the stuff of the presentation. Now, they started to show off the Joy-Con pads. Now, the Joy-Con pads are these little things which attach to the side of the screen, and also you have like a pad holder which they can click into too if you're deciding to play on the TV as opposed necessarily to handheld, where they'll be attached to the side of the screen. Now, they were trying to talk to us about how natural they felt and how, the functionality of them were great. And you had all these buttons here, like your left and your right triggers and all this that other pads have. And it looked like the most awkward piece of thing to hold. It felt like you were bleeding on your palms, that it was just digging into your palms and cutting them to ribbons. And they didn't look comfortable to use at all. Possibly a little bit unfair of me because I haven't had one in my hands. #ladies. But I haven't had one of these in my hands. But just the way that they were showing it off, it looked like you had to have a 7-year-old girl hold it. You know, somebody with hands that were so freaking tiny that it actually looked like a pad. Now, I've not got the world's biggest hands, but I haven't got small hands. And I just felt as if holding this pad, my fingers would be everywhere. It would be so difficult to kind of control. It would be really uncomfortable to hold. So if I wanted to have something that felt a bit more natural, then I'd probably have to look at the Pro Controller, which of course is a peripheral and doesn't come with the machine. You yourself will have to purchase it, and it's being advertised here in the UK at £65. A PlayStation 4 pad is £40 here in the UK. An Xbox One pad you can pick up for about £35 here in the UK. 65 quid. And this is something else we'll get into later in the video about the rip-off of the Switch. Now, so they were showing off the way that it was, and it looked awful, but let's just say, for argument's sake, we can use them, all right? They are usable. They feel okay. They showed off something called 1-2 Switch. Now, 1-2 Switch looked like their online party games, or not necessarily online, but just their party games. Their games for bringing people together and having fun. Yay! And they showed off 2 people having like a gunfight. High noon, we go gun duel and whatnot. And then they showed other things off, like somebody holding a phone, somebody pretending that it was a razor, electric razor, feeling that you could stick ice cubes. Look, I don't know what the fuck they were trying to show off, but I was not sold at all. Now, I'm not trying to be a grumpy bastard. I'm really not. But a load of the things that they showed off with the 1-2 Switch, like the high noon gun duel and things like that, I can absolutely see them being fun for about 30 fucking seconds. You know, how many times do you have to do a high gun duel thing before you're just bored to death with it? Probably about half a dozen, I'd say. You know, the first couple of times, haha, that was fun. And if you're doing it at a party, hey, Az, come and do the high duel thing. It's okay, mate, I've done a couple. I'm just gonna, have a drink. They really didn't look like they were particularly fun games. They didn't look like, to be honest with you, looked like a knobhead. Let's just call a spade a spade. It looked like a knobhead. They felt as if they were like from 1889. And this is what you would do in the parlour when you were eating Mrs. Migginson's muffins and having some tea. I say, Mr. Crenshaw, wouldn't it be awfully fun if we pretended how to have a high noon duel? You're from the United States of America, aren't you, sir? Well, I sure am, pretty lady. I'm gonna go and get my gun and shoot you in your fucking titty bags. It just felt like something like that. Something that you would make up with a pad and paper when you were 6 years old and you had some friends around for your holidays or your birthday or whatnot. I didn't, of course. I've got no friends. But it just looked so tacky. I think tacky's the word I've got to use. Just little tacky little party games that look to me as if they had such a short lifespan of genuine fun. And once they'd been done a couple of times, really, you'd done it all. You had done it all. And I was just watching that presentation, sort of cringing almost. It was just like, oh my God, this is horrible. This is just horrible to watch. So, yeah. So after they showed this off, they had to therefore go into the software. Because they told us that, you know, the motion sensors and the Joy-Cons, as they like to call them, have these great things which make you feel as if you're filling water into them and ice cubes and all this stuff. Yeah. You know, stuff like that sounds good. Right, I'm being a bit unfair here. Stuff like that does sound good. Honest to God, it does sound good, but it doesn't feel as if it functions with what they're trying to offer you. If you were doing something like that, if you were holding like the Joy-Cons and you were in a virtual reality game, with VR being so important now, and VR starting to really push boundaries, if you had a VR headset on and then you were holding those Joy-Cons and you were playing a detective game, you were Detective Dick, and you were pouring yourself a glass of rye and you wanted a couple of rocks as well. You know, stuff like that could be really immersive and really cool and feel as if you were actually having a drink filled up in your hand and a couple of ice cubes dropped in. That sounds amazing. But with what they were showing off with their party games and stuff, it felt as if you were playing tea time as a schoolgirl. You know, oh, I'm here with my Cabbage Patch Kids and I'm going to play tea. Here, have a sip, Mrs. Oh, good, I've just got tea all down my fucking doll's front. You know, it just felt as if you were play acting instead of actually having a proper functionality and purpose for that really cool, because it is cool, looking motion sensor system. But, you know, there we go. Anyway. So they decided to go on the software, and the first game I believe they showed off was Mario. Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey, and it looked brilliant. It looked amazing. I've heard of some people say, oh, Mario looks silly because he's tiny and then he's in this world where everyone's a normal size. If you listen to the presentation, it does say that Mario actually goes to a whole new realm, a whole new world, and it is our world. So, yeah, of course it looks weird. It's meant to look weird. You know, he's from the Mushroom Verse, or wherever the fuck the weirdo's from. Italy. That was it. But yeah, he's from a completely different universe, so I can forgive stuff like that. That's nonsense. The actual game itself looked really good fun. It looked great. I love the way that he was bouncing around the skyscraper tops and using his hat to jump over spaces to get to the other side instead of plunging to his doom and whatnot. And then apparently the hat's going to get eyes and do other things. I don't know. But it looked fun. It looked like a great little platforming experience. You know, the first big Mario game that we've got since Mario 64, Sandbox Mario, anyway, since Mario 64. And that put a massive smile on my face because I thought, yeah, I could buy this game. I could buy this game, I could play this game, and I could have fun playing this game. And then they said, oh, it's not out until maybe, because it's not even confirmed, maybe Holidays 2017, which of course Holidays is the Christmas time, so you're probably looking end of November, December time for Mario to be released. The console's coming out on the 3rd of March. So the very first game that you show off is a console seller. Absolutely. It's a flagship product, Mario, absolutely. And then the very next thing you have to say after whetting people's appetites is, I'm sorry, it's in development, you can't play it, and it's probably not going to be ready until the end of the year. And that's probably, it could even get delayed. It could even go into 2018. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. Hey, ladies. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but the likelihood is stuff like that will probably get pushed to 2018. And then they showed off a very brief snippet of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and the new Fire Emblem game. No hint of release whatsoever. So just in development. So another thing, nope, not coming out at launch. Here's something for the future, not coming out at launch. And then they went off and they showed off Spittoon or Splatoon, whatever it's called. Splatoon 2. And again, I was sat there and I was like, oh my god, you've lost me now. You had me at Mario, and I got all excited about Mario, and then you told me it's not coming out until the end of the year at the earliest. You've told us that we can't play it. You know, there's no development yet for anybody to play. And then on top of that, you know, you show us a couple of things. You don't even give us a release date for them. And then Splatoon comes on, and it just looks like such a generic, bland, you know, nothing that's... You know, some people might have some fun with it. I know I'm being really negative here, but I'm just trying to be brutally honest. It's not trying to shit on the Switch. I'm just trying to tell you how I god honest felt when I saw these things. And I saw Splatoon, and I was just like, I'm not spending money on this game. I've got no interest in this game. None whatsoever. And that was summer of 2017. So even that is not even going to be a release title either. And then we got a generalization that there were 80 games in development for the Nintendo Switch. That's all we've got to say on that, folks. And it looks like none of them are fucking ready to come at launch. So it was starting to get really, really, really weird. And then on top of that, some guy tries to inject a bit of personality into the show and goes, "Hada!" and jumps out on a screen and then immediately apologizes, saying, "Oh, that didn't go down very well, did it?" And then immediately apologizes and then goes into robot form like everyone else was. And what was really bad about this is not the fact that he jumped out and tried to inject some fun into what was a really dreary presentation. Not the fact that he even said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it looks like that went down like a lead balloon," and then started to talk like a robot. No, it was what was coming out of his mouth. Now, the translator, because I don't speak Japanese, and I was listening to it through the official translators who were there at the event. So this is what the English audience was hearing. The translator didn't speak for about 15, 20 seconds when he started talking. And then when the translator did speak, the tone of the voice in the translator was so funny because he was translating as if he was saying, "I can't believe this guy's actually saying what he's saying." So if it's sort of like me saying, "And sorry, we've just had a release here from Blizz Entertainment. The World of Warcraft is immediately getting shut down, and everybody's being charged £1,000 to cover their costs of shutdown." You know, it's kind of like that. He had this really weird inflection in his voice. Like, it was just like, what is this guy saying? And what the guy was saying was, "Hey, do you remember this character that I created?" And he puts this character up on the screen. I didn't know who it was. I'm reckoning it must have been somebody that in Japan they recognise. And he said, "Well, we're going to be doing a game for the Nintendo Switch with him. We don't have the game. We haven't started the game. We don't even have a title for the game. But he's going to be in it." And it was just like, are you fucking shitting me? First of all, you show us a bunch of games which are nowhere near release. Then you tell us there's 80 games in development, and that is the end of that sentence. Nothing is coming out at launch so far. And then you say there's a picture of a guy on the screen. We're going to make a game. It's not even in development. It's not even started. It doesn't even have a fucking title. But we're going to do something with this guy. Oh my God. I laughed. I was literally raucously laughing at how embarrassing this was. And then the guy goes, and does this weird, the same thing he did at the entrance at the end. And it went down like a lead balloon again. So by this stage, I was just like, what the fuck is coming out on this machine? What is coming out at launch? It's due out in, 47 days or something. This machine is coming out, and you haven't given us a single solitary game at release. Or, and probably more importantly, if there are games at release, we'll go into the big one, obviously, in a moment. But if there are games coming out on release, you don't want to even fucking talk about them. They must be that bad, you ain't even wanting to talk about them. We're not going to promote these, because this is actually going to make our console look shit. So whatever it may be, And so I was just beside myself here. I was just like, I'm trying desperately hard to like you, Nintendo. I really am. There's a few things which really piss me off about Nintendo. First of all, obviously their policy on YouTube. So I'm not a big fan of Nintendo due to the policy they have on YouTube. But the fact that they seem to be stuck in the past, and the fact that I desperately want to get into their consoles, I desperately want to get into their franchises, but you make it so hard for me to do so because you keep creating lame ducks. And I felt like this was another one. I was just like, I have now zilch interest in the Switch. Zilch interest in the Switch after this presentation, after this look what's coming out but ain't coming out, and then the fact that you've got to drag a guy on stage to say, I'm thinking about making a game with this guy because we're trying to flog some consoles here. So they ended the presentation with Zelda. Now, we all knew that Zelda was going to be a flagship title. We were praying, of course, that it was going to be out on release for the Switch. And they go round to the various things. And this is where Mr. Miyamoto and Mr. Ayanuma came into the screen and really injected a wonderful bit of life into the performance for the 15-20 seconds that they were there. And then we see Zelda. We see the footage of Zelda, and Zelda looks outstanding. It looks absolutely incredible, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Looked like great fun. I could see myself buying a Switch purely for this game. And that was the problem with this presentation, because they knew that. They knew they had nothing. Nothing whatsoever but Zelda. And everything rested on Zelda. But to me, it worked. It worked because from my zilch interest through the whole presentation, zilch interest, because yes, I'm interested in Mario, but Mario's not coming out at least until Christmas. I'll buy a console then, when it comes out, you know? So I've got zero interest for launch, and then they're just like, Zelda's a release title. Probably the only release title. Maybe the only release title for the Switch. But it looks so good. It looks so much fun that I was like, I could buy a Switch purely to play this game now. So from not even being interested to thinking, I'm going to stick a pre-order and then I can always change my mind at a later date. So I stuck a pre-order purely for Zelda. Now, just before I sort of finish off, the UK are currently advertising games for the Switch at £60 a pop, which is absolutely crazy here in the UK. And, you know, yes, that might be a stand-in price and they might get adjusted accordingly. But even when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were coming out, they were advertising games at 50 quid. And then the games got reduced down to like 45 quid and 40 quid on release and stuff like that. Whereas this is starting at 60. So maybe they might go down to 55, 50 quid. And Skyrim, which was shown off, look, I got Skyrim Special Edition for free on the PC because I'd bought all the previous add-on packs, the expansion packs for Skyrim when it came out in 2011. And then I bought Skyrim on the PlayStation 4, the enhanced version, for £35. Now, if you're expecting me to buy Skyrim again for the Switch for 60 quid, you can... Look, I'll just say the way it is. Go fuck yourself. Just go fuck yourself. I ain't paying another 60 fucking quid for Skyrim. I've played it to death. It's a wonderful game. It's a beautiful game. It's a phenomenal game. But, you know, playing Skyrim in bed sounds like a great idea. I'd love to do that. That'd be amazing. Not for 60 quid. No, thank you. So I really hope there are some serious differentials in pricing structure for certain games. And if they dare try and offer full whack for something like Skyrim, Even if they offer it for 40 quid, no! Give me it for 25, 20 quid, and I'd be interested. But, you know, there's only so much Skyrim that you can play. Hundreds upon hundreds of hours and stuff like that. So yeah, all in all, my goodness me, this was a massive damp squid. I can completely understand why the stock price fell by 6% after the event. My goodness me, it did a lot to turn people off. Still, I do believe that pre-orders are going very well indeed. I think Amazon are already sold out as regards to pre-orders. They are not taking any more pre-orders. I stuck a pre-order. Like I said, I hold my hand up. I stuck a pre-order on because of Zelda. That was the only thing. That was the only reason why. But the sad thing, or the backlash, may occur after launch and not before launch. The backlash may occur when people get the machine and then they play Zelda, and then however long it takes to complete Zelda, a month or so, let's just say for argument's sake, taking you into April time, beginning of April, what's coming out? Nothing seems to be coming out. This seems to be a console that's got no goddamn games. And this is what kills consoles. This is what absolutely kills them. Is if you can't support a console, people are going to be like, fuck off. Fuck off. Because even when something like Mario comes out in December time, you've only got Zelda and Mario as your big games, and that's it. It's like, well, yeah, you get a Switch, costs 300 quid, but there's only 2 games to play for it. You have to have a support behind the console, and the Switch doesn't seem to have one at all. And I don't think its silly 1-2 Switch party game system is going to work either. Never mind the fact that they also are going to charge for network access, just like PlayStation Network, just like Xbox Live. You're going to get it for free when you first buy it, and then in the summertime, they're going to start charging you. And they can fuck right off for that. No chance. No way. Because let's face it, Nintendo haven't even got a great track record when it comes to their networking either. So there are so many negatives about this and so few positives. However, the positives seem to really shine through simply because of great titles like Mario and Zelda looking like they're going to be legit. They're going to be the real deal. But I can fully understand people saying, look, mate, I ain't touching this until there's stuff out for it. Because otherwise it's just going to be gathering dust in a corner somewhere. And the battery life is so weak. 2.5 hours to 6 hours, depending on the game. That's awful. It's dreadful. It's not a selling point. It's a turn-off point. But there you go. But you can plug it in and charge at the same time, because everyone wants a wireless handheld console plugged in at all times. That's exactly... God damn it! Right. So there we go. The presentation, god-awful. Nintendo really needs... Jesus Christ. They need something. They need a rod up their ass in the right way. The actual Switch itself, meh. But Zelda and Mario just look brilliant. Look so much fun that I do want to play Zelda and Mario on the Switch. But my God, Nintendo again, making it so hard for me to like them, making it so hard for me to want to buy their products. It's awful. But I'd love to know what you guys and girls have got to say in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me? Do you absolutely disagree with me? If you do, tell me in a nice way. We don't have to argue about this. Just tell me in a nice way what you think is the standout features for you. What makes you really desire a Switch? I really would be intrigued to listen to your arguments. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links there in the description down below as well. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.